Let's listen to the story about Bonnie and Clyde by Oxford Reading University, Level B1.
A pair of killers and thieves, and also a pair of young, passionate lovers. They lived as they died, under a rain of bullets. All this is about Bonnie and Clyde Barrow, and here is their story. Bonnie Parker was born in 1910 in Rowena, Texas. She was a small young lady with beautiful blonde curls, quite a sight to look at. Bonnie was an excellent student, but life took a hard turn for her when she lost her father at a young age. She, her mother, and two siblings moved to her grandparents' house. By the age of 16, Bonnie was already married and had dropped out of high school. Clyde Chestnut Barrow, born in 1909 in Ellis County, Texas, grew up in a poor farming family with 6 other siblings. He was an attractive man with thick brown hair. Like Bonnie, Clyde dreamed of a better life than the one he was given. When the Great Depression hit in 1929, life became even tougher for those trying to escape poverty. Clyde and his older brother, Ivan, nicknamed Buck, decided to drop out of school and started getting into trouble. One night, they stole a car and drove around town, eventually deciding to rob a store on the main street. Getting in and out of the store was easy, but escaping the police wasn't. A patrol car saw them leaving the scene and followed them. Clyde managed to disappear into the woods, but his brother tripped and fell, and the police caught him. Buck refused to reveal the identity of his partner in crime, so he was thrown in Huntsville State Prison for several years. Clyde continued his life of crime. Meanwhile, Bonnie's husband also found himself in jail for stealing. So, Bonnie moved in with her grandmother and started working as a waitress. To be honest, she was more angry than sad about her husband's absence. Bonnie was friends with Clyde's sister, and this was how they met. One evening in 1930, Clyde's sister broke her arm. When Clyde came to visit her, he found her pretty friend making hot chocolate in the kitchen. They talked all night, and it felt like love at first sight. From then on, they spent almost every day together. While Bonnie's husband was locked up, Clyde gathered a group of rough boys and began attacking and robbing small shop owners. Bonnie soon forgot all about her husband and became a driver for Clyde and his gang. Clyde knew the police were building another case against him. By February 1930, he decided to leave the town to avoid being caught. However, as he was packing his things, the police arrived and arrested him. Clyde ended up in prison. Against her mother's wishes, Bonnie went to visit him. During her visit, she met Clyde's cellmate, Frank Turner, who claimed he could break them out of jail if he could get his hands on a gun.
Send this story to a friend who likes true crime.
He drew a detailed map for Bonnie, showing the gun's location in his parents' house. She followed the map, found the weapon, and passed it to Clyde under the table during a meeting in jail. That night, Frank used the gun to break out, taking Clyde with him. The two men escaped to Illinois, stealing cars and robbing stores along the way. However, their adventure didn't last long. Soon, they were caught again and put back in prison. Clyde was sentenced to 14 years of hard work on a prison farm. The only happiness he found while there was receiving letters from Bonnie. Because only family and partners could send letters, he said that Bonnie was his wife. Meanwhile, Clyde's mother secretly convinced a judge to possibly release him early if he behaved well. But Clyde, unaware of this, thought of a risky plan. He purposely had another prisoner cut off 2 of his toes, hoping this would get him out earlier. Surprisingly, it worked, and he was released in February 1932. After his release, Clyde and Bonnie's romance blossomed. Angry at the government due to the Depression, Clyde formed a gang of thieves. He took Bonnie with him on their first robbery. They chose to rob a store near a courthouse, but when alarms rang, Clyde, wanting to protect Bonnie, told her to go back to Dallas. They held the store owner and his wife at gunpoint and demanded they open the safe. During the safe opening, a gunshot went off, and the store owner was killed. The men took the money and ran. The store owner's wife identified the 2 men as Clyde and his friend Ray Hamilton. Realizing he was deep in trouble, Clyde confessed everything to his sister and then met up with Bonnie. He gave her a choice, to stay with her family or join him on the run. She chose him. While on the run, they stopped in Oklahoma to enjoy a community dance. But during the dance, the police noticed one of Clyde's friends drinking. Back then, drinking alcohol was illegal. As two officers approached them, Clyde and his friend drew guns and shot them. Panic broke out, and one member of the gang was caught. Frightened, he revealed Clyde and Bonnie's identities to the police. Now in even more danger, Bonnie suggested they hide at her aunt's farm in New Mexico to plan their next move. Bonnie's aunt, Nettie Stamps, was happy to receive the guests. However, their car attracted the attention of the police with its out-of-state license plate. Back then, not many people could afford to travel around, so a plate from a different state was news. Soon, the police found out that the car had been reported stolen a few days earlier. Then, a police officer saw the car next to Aunt Nettie's house. When the officer knocked on the door, he was met by Clyde's gun. Bonnie and Clyde forced him into their car and drove away. Aunt Nettie called the police. Everyone thought that the officer had been killed, but soon he called and said he was safe. This incident made Bonnie and Clyde famous, and it was in the newspapers all over America for months. Clyde was tired from all the stress of their crimes. He often shot people who got in his way but left witnesses who could identify him. The police saw him as a clever criminal because he mostly committed his crimes near state borders, making it hard for them to chase him. The gang rarely stayed in one town for long. During a bank robbery in Missouri, a guard realized what Clyde was up to and started shooting at him. Clyde escaped the bullets, but only managed to grab $80 from the table. Their next robbery was even less successful. They held up a small-town bank, only to find it was empty. For a short time, they decided to go back to Texas and spend Christmas with their families. Since many members of Clyde's gang were in prison, he needed new people. William Daniel W.D. Jones soon became one of them. He was hardly an adult, a few years younger than Clyde. Unfortunately, W.D. turned out to be less useful than Clyde had hoped. W.D.'s first task was to steal a car. He bragged about having done it many times before, but he was still nervous. They approached a car in a driveway, and W.D. jumped out to start it. He struggled with the car, drawing the attention of the neighbors. The car's owner rushed to stop them from stealing it. Clyde got out and tried to start the car himself. When the owner tried to take the keys, Clyde pulled out his gun. In the struggle, Clyde accidentally shot the car's owner, pushed him onto the road, and drove away, with Bonnie following in another car. Bonnie and Clyde knew they couldn't go home soon, so they visited Dallas to say goodbye to their families. Many people protected them because they too had suffered during the Depression and understood Bonnie and Clyde's struggle. However, the duo's reputation worsened after they killed a patrolman in Oklahoma. The police were desperate to capture them. In another fight with the police, the gang had to shoot their way out, adding another officer to their kill count, which now totaled 5. Over time, they robbed more banks and even a government weapons storage. One day in Missouri, when a policeman tried to stop them, they simply kidnapped him. Later, when their car battery died, they forced the kidnapped officer to steal and install a new one from a store. Afterward, they drove away, leaving the confused policeman behind. By March 1933, Clyde's brother Buck had got out of jail and joined the gang with his wife, Blanche. They rented an apartment in Joplin, Missouri, planning to lay low for a while. But their suspicious activities got them reported to the police. When officers knocked on the door of the apartment on April 13th, a gunfight started. Clyde and his gang barely managed to escape, even saving Blanche, who ran out into the street in panic. The police later identified them from the items left in the apartment. The gang decided to change cars more often to confuse the police. One day they stole a black Chevrolet in plain view. The car's owner chased after them, only to be taken hostage when he caught up. After a night of being driven around, he and another hostage were left in the middle of nowhere the next morning, with some money, but without a car. The wild adventures of Clyde's gang went on and on without end. Wellington was their next destination. Unfortunately, they missed signs about a bridge being out for repairs and crashed into a ravine. Bonnie got pressed under the car, which soon caught fire. The others got her out moments before the car exploded, but Bonnie suffered a severe burn on her thigh. A nearby farmer helped, but recognizing Bonnie from wanted posters, went to alert the police. Clyde quickly realized this, and the gang escaped, stealing the farmer's car. Knowing Bonnie needed medical help, Clyde risked calling a doctor. While she was being cared for, Buck and WD decided to rob a bank and a grocery store. The robberies quickly turned into a police chase, and one of the officers was killed. They had to run away again. The next car they stole conveniently had medical supplies for Bonnie. One evening, the gang checked into the Red Crown tourist camp in Missouri to have some rest. However, their suspicious behavior led a night clerk to inform the police. A few days later, the police surrounded their cabins, leading to a massive gunfight. Clyde managed to break through the police barricade, but the others suffered severe injuries. The gang escaped to Dexter Park and stopped by a river. A hunter spotted them and informed the police. Another fight broke out. Both Bonnie and Clyde got shot in the arm. During their escape, Clyde crashed the car into a tree. The couple ran on foot while Buck and his wife Blanche went the other way. Buck got shot and later died, while Blanche was captured and spent 10 years in prison. Bonnie and Clyde, injured yet determined, were on the run again. Their friend, WD, decided to leave them and was soon caught. To save himself, he told the police everything, hoping they would catch his former partners in crime too. The police set a trap. They discovered that Clyde's mother was celebrating her birthday soon and figured the couple would attend. They were right. The detective team hid near the celebration spot. As soon as the pair made a move for their car, the police opened fire. Both were hit in their knees, but managed to escape again. Texas police were so fed up that they decided to employ a secret weapon. Frank Hamer, a famous Texan detective known for getting results. Meanwhile, Bonnie and Clyde freed one of their old partners from jail. However, disagreements arose about money, and they soon separated. One day while hiding out, Clyde's new partner made a serious mistake. He noticed two police officers and, instead of running, he fired, killing one. Clyde had no other choice but to kill the other. Now, more than ever, the law wanted them dead or alive. Bonnie and Clyde knew they couldn't run away from the law much longer. They visited their families one last time in May of 1934. During this meeting, Bonnie shared a poem she wrote about their life on the run. The police, noting the pair's family visits pattern, predicted their next move. When they saw Bonnie and Clyde's car, they followed them in secret. Suddenly, as the lovers drove, a rain of bullets showered their car. Detective Hamer and his team had set up a trap. When the shooting finally stopped, the infamous Bonnie and Clyde lay dead. Their criminal adventure brought to a dramatic end.
Do you know the only place where you can learn English with your favorite movie heroes? Ewa app. Movie characters will teach you English grammar, words, pronunciation, and listening. All in one place. Appewa.com. And now, listen to another English story.